Hello everyone. My talk today is about the stories we tell. The stories we tell about ourselves, our circumstances, and our world become the stories we live. Our minds work in such a way that the stories we tell again and again, that we reiterate to the world and to ourselves, our mind races to recreate that reality in reality. So it creates our reality in such a way that it matches the stories we are telling. And that's why we need to choose the stories we tell wisely. When we started travel schooling our girls about a year back, during the first few months, we fell into this trap of telling the story of how we had decided to take big steps in our careers and in our lives and take our girls to experience the world, the entire world, as their classroom. We were looking to curate the most exciting, the most wonder-filled educational experience for our girls. That story was true, but it was not the whole truth. When we realized this, we expanded our narrative to also include the fact that both my husband and I love traveling. Those of you who know us know that we have, between the two of us, we have traveled to several dozen countries before we had our kids. So when we made the decision to travel school our girls, it was for them and for giving them a wonderful educational experience, a realistic experiential education, but it was also for ourselves. It's like this. Parents who like the outdoors do outdoor parenting. Parents who like crafts do crafts-based parenting. Parents who love mathematics get their kids started on math skills early on. And so it was for us. We love traveling, so we decided to marry travel and parenting, which we are doing in this phase of our lives. So we married the two and came up with the travel parenting and travel schooling idea. Now that is the whole story. And it is really important to tell stories which are complete as much as possible, as well as stories which are true and authentic. Nowhere is this more relevant than right now. In this current phase where stories about this pandemic that we are facing are doing the rounds in such a way as if every piece of information is so valuable to know some elusive truth about how this pandemic will progress and when it will end. I know we are all anxious, we are all curious as to when finally this ends, but that doesn't mean that every piece of information that arrives at our doorstep is true or even worthy of transmitting forward. Talking about transmission, my family and I are currently in India. India is the WhatsApp capital of the world. So nowhere else is it more evident than here that mental or psychological contagion of anxiety can happen simply because people, very much of well-intentioned people, are sharing every single story that arrives about coronavirus. When I was back in college, I remember I did my first senior thesis on comparing how financial market contagion actually follows the same patterns and the same progression paths as the spread of infectious diseases. So epidemiological models can be applied to financial markets to study how simply ideas can spread and turn the way the markets function. If you think about it, the underlying idea was simply this, that even ideas and even thoughts are like viruses. They find hosts, they find minds who will believe them, and then carry on planting themselves from one mind to the other simply through the channels of communication. So my point today and my humble request to everyone who's watching me today is that we need to be really careful of the stories we decide to tell. because the stories we tell are going to be the stories we live. Thank you.